For the longest time, I thought I could compartmentalize myself. That is, I could move from different spheres of my life and have the emotion, demeanor, and attitude that was appropriate to each situation. I could put away fears, anxieties, and resentments and project more reassuring alternatives, confidence, authority, even-handedness. Some of this was trained into me. Delivering babies, on occasion, a situation can quickly change to high risk and yes, even life-threatening. In these moments, we are taught to put out of our mind any natural urge to freak out and to will ourselves to follow protocols and algorithms while maintaining calm. But to apply skills meant for an emergency situation to your regular life is a recipe for all sorts of trouble. My blind spot was not realizing that the idea of compartmentalizing my life was a fantasy doomed to failure. My attitude and emotions leaked out all over the place. Furthermore, the idea of separating off parts of myself was really unhealthy to my psyche and those around me. Those previously mentioned traits, confidence, authority, even-handedness, that I hoped to project through my efforts to compartmentalize may have in reality come off more like arrogance, overbearingness, and emotionless detachment. One of the roles I reluctantly assumed when I was a director in my clinic was overseeing other providers. Among the providers I was tasked with supervising was one who, if she had the proper skill sets, should have been the natural person to lead the department I directed. In my early time as a manager, I built up all sorts of resentments to this person. In my mind, her inadequacies made my job, and therefore my life, harder. There were many times where I would rant to my wife about how this provider was driving me to my wit's end with her inability to be a team player, passing off work to others that she should have done herself, and ignoring my directives. As a manager, I was supposed to judge her work, but somewhere along the way, I started judging her as a person. Of course, I never said any of this to her, and I always maintained professional rapport with her. But I can see now that, in hindsight, that although I never expressed how I felt to her directly, there was some subconscious undercurrent that affected our relationship. Only when I started realizing that my unspoken feelings could still have an effect did I start to practice a new approach to managing her. Instead of resenting her for who she was not, I started appreciating her for who she was. I gave her space to do what she did well and let go of what she couldn't do. I also realized that she also knew that she had flaws that hindered her, and she personally struggled to overcome these traits. I started connecting with her over common challenges we faced, raising our kids, for example. By the end of my time as her director, our relationship was fine and our department was running smoothly. Perhaps ironically, she's now partially leading the department and doing all the things that I originally resented her for not doing in the first place. Perhaps we've both grown in this process. Over time, I've realized that breaking down the walls in my life sometimes can be freeing and healthy. A few years ago, a family member of mine was very ill, and I worried every day about the health of that person. Going to work and doing my job duties as if I was fine was incredibly hard to do. Some days, I just didn't want to be there. But instead of pretending that all was fine, when the moment was appropriate and with the right person, I allowed myself to answer more honestly when they innocuously asked, "How are you?" And I shared a bit about my struggles. In the past, I would have thought it would have been a sign of weakness or poor boundaries to disclose like that. But in the times I did open up, invariably, I received deep compassion, and I fostered vulnerability in those I opened up to. I learned from one work colleague that she too had suffered the same illness my family member was going through, and she eventually healed. and reassured me that my family member could do so too. I feel so much closer to those colleagues who are now truly good friends. Compartmentalization never worked out the way I envisioned because I am a whole being, no matter what the situation. By learning to have compassion and acceptance of my whole self at all times, I learned to be more authentic and present to those around me. And for that, my life is all the better.